Good morning, students. We were studying chapter number 7, Lifelines of National Economy. In this chapter, we have firstly seen what are the modes of transportation, the means of transport, which is land, water, and air. In land, we have roadways, railways, and pipelines. We were studying about the different roadways one by one. Lastly, we had studied about border roads, okay, those roads which are connecting the bordering areas. Now we come to the classification of roads. Roads can also be classified on the basis of the type of material used for their construction. Means what type of material is being used for the construction of the roads. The classification is based on that basis. One is metalled and second is unmetalled. Metal roads are those roads which are made up of cement, concrete, or even bitumen of coal. And unmetalled roads are those roads which go out of use in the rainy season. Means you can say that whenever it is a rainy season or at the time of rainy season, these unmetalled roads are of no use. And metal roads which are made up of cement, concrete, bricks, okay, those roads can be called as weather roads. Means they can resist the any weather, as it can be summer, winter, or rainy season. So this is the classification on the basis of the type of material which is used. Now we have a new topic, that is road density. Now what is the meaning of road density? Road density meaning the length of road per 100 square kilometer of area is known as density of roads. Means 100 square kilometer, the length of the road per 100 square kilometer of area is known as density of the road. Distribution of roads is not uniform in the country. In India, the distribution of roads, okay, are not uniform. Means somewhere there are roads which are not constructed or not built in a good way, and somewhere we have roads which are very good or very efficient. Density of all road varies from only 10 kilometers in Jammu Kashmir to 375 kilometers in Kerala, with the national average of 75 kilometers. This is an extra information which can be very helpful. So what happens here? The density of all road varies from only means from 10 kilometer in Jammu Kashmir to 375 kilometer in Kerala. The density of the road varies, means the length of the road per 100 square kilometer area. Road transportation in India faces a number of problems. There are a number of problems where road transportation is facing problems. Keeping in view the volume of traffic and passengers, the road network is inadequate. Means seeing the traffic, okay, we can we if we go on roads, okay, we can see there is much more of traffic, there are much more of passengers, and these roads are not efficient for the network, or they are inadequate. About half of the roads are unmetalled, and this limits their usage during the rainy season. Means half of the roads, okay, and not all the roads, but half of the roads are unmetalled. They are of no use in the rainy season, okay. The national highways are inadequate too. Moreover, the roadways are highly congested in cities, and most of the bridges and culverts are old and narrow. Now what happens, these national, if you are talking about the national highways, those are also not efficient, because the roadways are highly congested. When you go in cities, you will see that these roadways are highly congested, you find much of traffic there, and most of the national bridges or national highways are very old and very narrow. Means two vehicle cannot face one another, they are so much narrow, and they are old also. So these are some problems which road transportation in India is facing. Now we come to talk about the railways. Now if we are talking about railways, then railways are much more appropriate than the roads, okay, because railways can collect, or it can take many more passengers, such as the talking about the road. The railways are the principal mode of transportation for goods and passengers in India. Okay, so it is also a means of transportation and it is much more appropriate than roadways. It also makes it possible to conduct various activities like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, along with the transportation of goods over long distances. There is many much work which can be done by railways, means business also is done by that, sightseeing also, then pilgrimage also, okay, and transportation of goods and passengers also. Apart from an important means of transport, the Indian railways have been a great integrating force for more than 150 years. Means it has been an integrating force, okay, for more than 150 years. Railways in India bind the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of the industry and agriculture. Means what happens? Railways bind the economic development of the country. We can talk about the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of industry and agriculture. Obviously it will be a very useful help, it will be helpful for the industry also, because there it can make the transportation of goods easy, okay, so that is easy. Then we have the rail network. Here is a most important information given about the Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in the country. The first train steamed off from Mumbai to Thane in 1853, covering a distance of 34 kilometers. It is a very useful and an important point which is to has to be remembered. Okay, that Indian Railway it is a largest, means largest public undertaking. Okay, and the first railway which was from Mumbai to Thane in 1853, covering 34 kilometers. Okay, the Indian Railway is now organized in 16 zones. Means in 16 zones this railway lines is organized. The distribution pattern of the railway network in the country is influenced by physiographic, economic, and administrative factors. Means there are many much more factors which influence these railway lines. Whereas if you're talking about the northern plains, okay, if you are talking about the northern plains, then what happens here is that the northern plain with their vast land, high population density, and rich agricultural resources provided the most favorable condition for their growth. Now we have in the northern plains, if we go, we have a vast level land, we have high population also, we have agricultural resources also. So this provide for the growth of railway lines. A large number of rivers requiring destruction of bridges across their wide beds pose some obstacles. Means there are large number of rivers which require construction of bridges, okay, so that people can move from one to another. They also provide wide beds pose some obstacles. If we are talking about the hilly areas of the peninsula region, railway tracks are laid through low hills, gaps, or tunnels. Okay, railway lines are constructed through the low hills, gaps, and tunnels. The Himalayan mountainous regions are unfavorable for the construction of railway lines due to high relief, sparse population, and lack of economic opportunities. If you are talking about Himalayan mountains, then the level of the land is very high. So due to this high relief, due to sparse population means less of population and lack of economic opportunities, railway lines are not possible. Okay, it is difficult to rail railway lines on the sandy plain of western Rajasthan, swamps of Gujarat, forested tracts of MP, okay, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and Jharkhand. So these are also some areas where the construction of railways are not easy. The contiguous stretch of Sayadri could be crossed only through gaps or passes. In recent times, the development of the Konkan Railway along the west coast has facilitated the movement of passengers and goods in this most important economic region of India. If you're talking about the Konkan Railway, which is along the west coast, the Konkan coast, okay, it also the construction of railway has facilitated the transportation of passengers or the movement of passengers and goods, and which is very important for the economic growth. It has also faced a number of problems such as sinking of track in some stretches and landslides. In some areas where there are stretches where there are landslides, it has been sinking. The railways have become more important in our national economy than all other. Okay, railways have become more important in our national economy than all other means of transport put together. Okay, means railways are much more important than other means of transport. Rail transport also suffers many problems. Many passengers travel without tickets. Very often we see in the trains, okay, that many passengers are traveling without tickets. They do not have tickets, but yet they travel in the trains. Then thefts and damaging of railway property has not yet stopped completely. We see much of theft also. Okay, robbery, thefts, damaging of railway property means damaging them. People stop the trains, pull the chain unnecessarily, and this causes heavy damage to the railway. What happens? People just pull the chain just because unnecessarily they pull the chain, and they stop the trains, and this also causes heavy damages. Okay, so these are some problems which are being faced by the railway lines. Okay, so this was with railways. Now in railways also we have, see, gauges is the Indian railway network runs on multiple gauge operation extending over 68,442 kilometers. Now here we have gauges also. See, there are given three types of gauges, that is broad gauge, meter gauge and narrow gauge. Now here there is route also given, a running track is also given, and total drag is also given. This is not much more important, but just remember that there are three types of gauges: broad gauge, meter gauge and narrow gauge. And now we come to pipelines. This is what with railways. Now we come to pipeline. Now pipeline transport network is a new arrival on the transportation map of India. Means it is a new type of transport. Pipelines, we all know about pipelines. Okay. In the past, they were used to transport water to cities and industries. First, they were underground pipelines to transporting waters to cities and industries. These are used for transporting crude oil, petroleum products and natural gas from oil and natural gas fields to refineries, fertilizer factories and big thermal power plants. Okay, firstly they was just used to give water to the cities and industries. But now it is used to transport crude oil, petroleum and natural gas fields to refineries, fertilizer factories. Solids can also be transported through a pipeline when converted into slurry. Okay. The far inland location of refineries like Baroni, Mathura, Panipat and gas-based fertilizer plant could be thought of only because of pipelines. Just these refineries or these locations of refineries are are just because of these pipelines. Initial cost of laying pipelines is high, but subsequent running costs are minimal. Means if you are laying some pipelines, the cost of that is very high, but the subsequent running cost is very less. It rules out transshipment losses or delays. Okay, means we can help it. Okay, we can just transport the crude oils, we can transport petroleums, we can give raw materials to the industrial sectors also. Okay, so here there are three important networks of pipeline transportation, that how pipeline transportation is easy in the country. From oil field in Upper Assam to Kanpur via Guwahati, Baroni and Allahabad. It has branches from Baroni to Haldia via Rajband, Rajband to Morigam and Guwahati to Siliguri. So these are three transportation networks which are of pipelines. Second one is from Salaya in Gujarat to Jalandhar in Punjab via Viramgam, Mathura, Delhi and Sonipat. It has branches to connect Koili near Vadodara, Gujarat, Chakshu and other places. Then we have gas pipeline from Hazira in Gujarat connects Jagdishpur in Uttar Pradesh via Vijaypur in Madhya Pradesh. It has branches to Kota in Rajasthan, Shahjahanpur, Babrala and other places in UP. Okay, so these are three pipeline important. There are gas pipes also. Okay, here we have gas lines also, gas pipelines also. Okay, and it is easier for the crude oil, petroleum, these products can also be given transported to the industries. Okay, so these why pipelines are helpful. Now this was with the roadways, railways and pipelines. Now we are talking about waterways. If If you are talking about waterways, then you have most important ships. Okay, ships transport. Since the ancient period, India was one of the seafaring countries. Its seamen sailed far and near, thus carrying and spreading Indian commerce and culture. In ancient times, if you are talking about the previous times, what happened? The seamen sailed from one country to the another country, sharing their culture and their commerce. Waterways are the cheapest means of transport. Okay, they are less cheaper. They are more suitable for carrying heavy and bulky goods. Okay, those goods which are heavy in weight, okay, can be carried through the water transport from one place to the another. It is a fuel efficient and environment friendly mode of transport. Fuel efficient and environment friendly also. Okay, whenever you are talking about roadways or railways, they are much more means they are much more damaging the environment than the water transport. India has inland navigation waterways of 14,500 km in length. Out of these, only 5685 km are navigable by mechanized vessels. The following waterways have been declared as the national waterways by the government. Okay, so the inland navigation waterways is of 14,500 kilometer in length, but only 5,685 is navigable. Okay, there are some waterways which have been declared national waterways by the government. Now see, this is a picture, this is a map given of Indian Railways. We can just see the networks. Okay. Okay, so there are some waterways which have been given as national waterways. Here also a picture is given that inland waterways widely used in northeastern states. You can see that there are passengers also, there are vehicles also. Okay, so these are some waterways which have been given as national waterways, which have been declared as national waterways. The Ganga River between Allahabad and Haldia, that is national waterway number 1. The Brahmaputra River between Sadia and Dhubri, that is national waterway number 2. The West Coast Canal in Kerala, Kotapurma Kolam, Udyogamandalam and Champakara canals, 205 kilometers northwest, that is North Waterway number 3. Specified stretches of Godavari and Krishna rivers along with Kalinanada, Puducherry stretches of canal, 1078 km national waterway number 4, and specified stretches of river Brahmani along with Matai River, delta channels of Mahanadi and Brahmani rivers, and East Coast Canal, 588 km national waterway number 5. So these are some waterways which are being declared as the national waterways by the government. There are some other inland waterways on which substantial transportation takes place. They are Mandvi, Zuari and Kimberjua, Sundarbans, Barak and backwaters of Kerala also. Apart from these national waterways, there are some inland waterways also. Apart from these, India's trade with foreign countries is carried from the ports located along the coast. 95% of the country's trade volume is moved by sea. Means if you are talking about 98%, means 68% in terms of value of country's trade volume is done by the sea sector. Okay, then we have talking about the major seaports. Which are the major seaports? With a long coastline of 7,516.6 km, India is dotted with 12 major and 200 notified non-major ports. There are 12 major ports and 200 notified non-major, means minor ports. These major ports handle 95% of India's foreign trade. Okay, means transportation of goods and services done from one place to the other. Kandla in Kutch was the first port developed soon after independence to ease the volume of trade on the Mumbai port. Okay, on the Mumbai port, if you are talking about, Kandla was the first port which was developed soon after independence. After 1947, it was firstly developed so that the volume of trade can be made easily. In the wake of loss of Karachi port to Pakistan after the partition, Kandla, also known as Deen Dayal Port. It is Kandla is also known as Deen Dayal and it is a tidal port. It caters to the convenient handling of exports and imports of highly productive granary and industrial belts stretching across the states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. Means Kandla port is also known as Deen Dayal port, and it is for handling of exports and imports of highly productive granary, granary part, and industrial belt also, with states covering state of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Gujarat. That's all for today. Thank you.